So what's up, Pip? We're here on just off the cuff. What is today? Wednesday, Tuesday?
Today's Tuesday.
So I hit the Zoom meeting, and all of a sudden you're like, "Hey, I'll pop one." You're eating your lunch. I'm drinking my coffee. So we got to catch up with Pip. What's new in your world?
Geez, man,
Outside of Ryan puts you on the spot.
right? It's right. So wait, though, but it's strange. Here's what's new in my world. Because normally this isn't the first time you and I have done this. And I'd be like, oh man, well, next week I'm going to England with MSA. And then I'll see you in Nashville on my birthday, because we were supposed to be in Nashville on my birthday this year.
Yeah.
So what's new with me is I'm not doing all those things anymore, right? It's the same as you. We're not doing what we got really used to doing. And We're trying to figure out what to do otherwise. Is that a pretty safe estimate?
All right. So then what are you doing otherwise? Because I keep going back to this is the time that Ryan's working on Ryan, fixing things around the house. I mean, the freaking wife's just been fantastic, because I sent her a message a little bit ago. It's like, hey, the trash can's fixed. Hey, the garbage disposal's fixed. Hey, the garage is getting clean. So, I mean, is this the perfect time to focus in on ourselves? I mean,
New Jersey's been a little different through this whole thing. We were epicenter of pandemic there for a while. So that was me in March, April, and May. I was like a landscaper, man. I crushed my backyard landscaping, in ways that I did more landscaping in 2020. Personal landscaping work than I've done in 17 years of home ownership. I'll have you know, just in 1 year. So, those are those times where I was focused on that, and then things have changed. But it's funny that you say this is your time to focus on you, because that's something that I've started to realize that maybe I wasn't doing enough of, even though I was focused on myself, in the gym and hitting, because I have my own gym, so that was never an issue for me. But now it's time to start to wonder what Pip could do. 555, we're grooving. We survived this year, giving away, this year, we'll by the end of this year, we'll have given away, I want to say close, if not over $40,000 in equipment just this year, which is our biggest year yet, which is crazy, right? So, not that we're not trying to do better, and I got a few things in the work, but I need to take a step back and work on me, concentrate on that podcast, the size up. I did an episode last week with Mrs. Pip about where I was and our relationship. And now I'm trying to build on that and keep going with it. Yeah, it was a little scary, dude. A little scary. Imagine having your wife on your podcast talking about your problems.
So let me tell you about Ryan's problem from the Mrs. Pennington aspect of it. I don't know, man. I just keep thinking about myself, my company, my family. And maybe that's what this COVID stuff has really came about, because it's always especially you and I, we're always so focused on the global issues, so to speak. So now it's time to kind of focus that in on the local issues. So I really think while this virus sucks, so it's I've started challenging myself and my company to start getting better at a skill. And here's something that maybe we can keep talking about is we're going to be getting new recruits. We've got about 13 weeks. Hey, we got somebody else coming on. We got about 13 weeks, maybe 14 weeks until we'll have a new rookie in our station, which we know it's coming. So it's so now how in the next 13 weeks can we get ready for their arrival and be squared away? So I don't know. I think this COVID stuff sucked, but in the next 13 weeks, I've got to get my station ready, my crew ready. And it's not that we're going to change how we do things, but it's going to be I don't know, it's going to be more squared away maybe.
It's weird when someone new comes into the dynamic, right? And here's something that to speak to that I've definitely noticed, right, is that so I was promoted, it was 6 years ago, just recently, right?
Oh, nice.
But there's that long gap of time when you're promoted that everyone that works for you knew you when you were a firefighter.
Right.
My two guys have more time on than me. We've always worked together. So it's different.
Right.
Then you get these new kids in, and they only know you as Captain Pennington or Lieutenant Papara. They didn't know you, but they hear stories. And even and like things like that. So you have that new dynamic in there of being someone's boss, trying to become their friend, trying to make sure that everyone somehow that they fit into your system.
Right.
And I think, well, I can't speak to post-COVID days, but I think even in the past few years in the fire service, we've learned to accept that that's going to be, and that we have to all adapt to this new person, as opposed to the older way of maybe. I like to use it as like a more military thought of, well, that's the new guy, and whatever they're gonna do what we do no matter what.
Yeah, see, but it's not like that anymore. It's really not. So now it's like I'm trying to wrap my head around things that I've done in the past that were successful, things that I've done in the past that was unsuccessful. Because ultimately, especially now that I'm the boss, I mean, I've had rookies before, and I always pride myself on being the person that gets them ready. At the 1 year mark, we have to put them through what we call a job skills abilities test. And I'm telling you what, that thing is no joke. No joke.
You told me about that. Let me get my headset real quick because I'm starting to lose you. Hold on.
Right. So when we do our job skills and abilities test, it usually takes them about an hour. And of that hour, you're in gear for about 55 minutes. So, I mean, it's like I keep going through that process of what did I do last time that was successful? And then what did I do last time that was not successful? And I think that's what I'm going to turn my camera off just because I think it might save some bandwidth. But it just, I keep going through that. And really, and I think you and I both do this, but I think this is something that I'm going to do next time is I'm going to take notes through the journey with this new recruit, or hopefully 2 recruits or 3 recruits or how many ever I get. But I want to get through this journey and take some notes. That way, the next time I can see what works, because right now I'm just pulling it from my memory.
Hey! You know what's a good one too is
what is up?
I'm just watching a show on Netflix, Ryan, called The Playbook.
The Playbook.
And it's about professional sports coaches.
Right.
So the first one is Doc Rivers. Then I can't remember her name, but she coached the U.S. Women's Olympic soccer team. A European soccer coach. And the last one I watched was Serena Williams, tennis coach. And they basically give you like 5 or 6 rules for life that they've used to develop players. And really, when they talk about coaching, you know, they're setting everything up. It's more about people. Let's just put it that way. It's just like being a leader in the firehouse. It's more about the people than everything else. And Serena Williams' coach basically showed a wall of notebooks because he has notes from every one of her matches.
Oh, wow.
And he talks about how important that is to write that down. And he's like going through them and he's like, oh, this was her first match I ever coached type thing. And so that's exactly what you're saying. And that's what these guys are doing to make themselves better, you know?
Dude, it's so funny. I just wrote those notes down, and I know that you're a big notebook person, and I'm the same. I've kind of gotten away from that because it seems like COVID's kind of changed everything. But that's something that we shouldn't change. That I don't know. I'm looking forward to going through this journey again. And I mean, I think we have to be adaptive for that new person coming in, and we have to be adaptive for the old people. And dare I say that we're old people? Pip, you're old.
We are.
Yeah.
We're old. Dude, I'm about to be 42, man. 2 weeks.
Oh,
42.
man.
Scary.
But I mean, how do you adjust for that new person? How do you start the adjustments? Is that a conversation when you have with your crew? Because I like to think we do things the right way, but do you really have to take that microscope out and see if you're really doing things the right way?
I think you're going to be more successful if you do, because you start to realize some of your faults, you know, the faults that you don't even want to realize and that they're going to see, you know. So we made, you know, my department is not humongous. You know, there's only 100 people. We recently we would send our hires to a county fire academy.
Right.
And those county fire academies, not that they are bad in any way, shape, or form, but they would bring instructors in from different departments around the state. It's whoever is hired, let's say, volunteers, career. So our recruits were getting a mix of education, which isn't always necessarily a bad thing, but we started to do our own in-house academy. And I think we're up to a second The last 2 recruit classes, or maybe 3, were 100% our own.
Right.
And they were coming out way more prepared than when we were sending them and have other people teaching them, because we were teaching them things the way that we do them specifically. And when these recruits came, though, it was very different, because things that we would have taught them in the past, we didn't have to teach them anymore. So now you're like let's say like stretching, we run an 1 3/4 200 off the back. They didn't have to teach them how to do that, because for the past 2 months, they've been doing 1 3/4 200 off the back. So now we're like, what do you do with these guys? Like, all my basics, my first 2 months of education, the academy took away. So I had to jump ahead into more advanced things.
Go ahead, bud.
Wouldn't crew integration and learning how they would work with the crew be a little bit more? I mean, they've already got the skill, obviously, but once they start integrating into a crew, wouldn't that help build the team, the camaraderie, I should say, or the team itself?
Yeah.
They integrated so much faster because of that. It threw us all for a loop when it's like, this kid knows what's up. You know what I mean? You're like, wait, it's different.
Now, I have a question regarding that. See, we just started in coordination with the city of Lansing. I'm a Lansing firefighter. We just started an academy with a career center, and because the state of Michigan, you're basically not going to go through, unless you go to like Detroit, maybe Grand Rapids, and get hired without anything. We're not set up to have anything other than a state run or a county run fire academy. Now that the Lansing Fire Department has started one in the high schools, what are the risks of teaching them how we do it versus the state guidelines? Not so much state guidelines, because they have to be IFSTA certified, or the curriculum's IFSTA, but are we putting them at a detriment for being employable elsewhere by teaching them nozzle forward stuff that we're using, or VES tactics, that sort of thing, stuff that's really not front and center in the IFSTA guidelines or the instruction guidelines, for that matter?
Yeah. See, I think that's where it becomes more important to us, Pip, is in the preparation. I mean, knowing what you're getting, knowing what's coming, you're not going to know their strengths or weaknesses, but you need to make sure that your crew is stronger before they get here, I think.
So that was one of those things too that we learned with running our own academy, the kind of way we wanted to run it, let's say, although we follow the standards, obviously, that New Jersey has set forward, all their job skills and things like that. But we developed that crew integration, that teamwork end of it, that they weren't getting from people who weren't in our department.
Right.
Not that those guys were bad, but they just had, different departments working together. We did a split academy once with the career department that did fire attack totally differently than we did. And when our guys got to us, they're like, but this isn't how we've done it for the past, 2 months. So that's where, as you guys are in Lansing, you have to kind of keep that open mind of how you're going to do this to prepare others. And that's a big deal.
Yeah. And one thing that kind of popped into my head is that we'll run, when we hire, our academies have no real set time. We'll hire everybody and we'll send them to the regional academy, but then they're supposed to learn how we do things in Lansing when they come back to our academy.
Right.
So they learn the actual job, they learn the actual ins and outs, they learn the trade, and then they come into the academy and learn the tricks. And then there's that continual growing pains that are involved with we call new kids, but probationary firefighters or junior members.
Yeah, and really, Pip is I know. What's your name, young man? I don't even recognize you on here. I'm sorry.
Young man?
Yeah. Young
man. I'm Patrick.
Hey, what's up, Patrick? Thanks for jumping on with us.
I'm going to say his name is iPad. It says iPad.
Yeah, you got to put that name on your front there, didn't you? Where's your name tag at? Yeah, what's your name tag at, sir?
I got nothing for you.
Before you jumped on today, Patrick, Pip and I was talking about how COVID-19 has kind of made us kind of be introspectively looking at ourselves. And I think this is the great time to do that, Pip, knowing in 13 weeks, we're going to have probably 2 news in my house that I'm going to have to assimilate to and have them get in my thing. And here's something that's weird about our situation is when 2 guys come in, guess what happens to 2 senior guys?
They get booted.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like now our crew cohesion is gone. Our assignment roles are gone. Our moving with the purpose is gone. And maybe it's not gone. It's just kind of postponed until we can get that person up. I mean, we've been spending a lot of time on moving hose lines. So now guess what? We got to do it all over again, which is fine with me. But I mean, that could be challenging as well.
Well, on the other side of that coin, that's a hell of a good opportunity to build them up the way you want to see them, and and get them so that wherever they go from here on out. So if your senior members come back in, at this point, it sounds like you're the senior guy. That's or the officer. I don't know what your rank is.
Yep, I am the OIC.
Yeah, at some point, you got to take no as a new opportunity. The new kids that are coming into our station, some of them are coming from Flint, where they fight a lot of fire and they do no EMS, to the 3rd largest department in the state, where we're also the largest transporting agency. So that's quite a culture shock for them. Some of them need more help than others. Ultimately,
don't say that. Don't say that too loud. Pip might go into seizures. Talk about that transport stuff again.
I think I would stay in Flint to avoid going to transport EMS again.
well, I'll be honest with you. I can't even see. I'm not. Your video's not even coming through for me when you talk, and all I see of Pip is a mohawk. So I'm the only one that actually has a face here, even though my name is.
Well, I turned mine off.
This started as just me and Ryan. Now I'm going to move. You got me all feeling bad.
No.
Let's move. There we go.
I'm telling you, I can't quite get there.
But
I just look like I escaped from a movie in the 50s.
And that's something, Pitt, that I've got to start getting away from. I'm not as bad as some of the other people. It's making EMS out to be this most horrible thing. I mean,
it's not. I joke.
Riding the sled is actually a great opportunity to. I take riding the sled. I mean, sometimes you just go, you know what? Mental health day.
Yeah.
Throw up your hands and say, screw it. I'm like today. I came into work and I'm like, I might crush somebody. So mental health day. I'm calling it mental health day. But it's an awesome opportunity to get out there and do street school. So you're already preparing yourself for driving. You're basically doing a PIP or a pre-incident plan every time you go into a house. So
whoa. Now, how did he get his own acronym? Now listen, you can't build that head up any more than it already is, because the faux hawk will stick up too far. Going around doing
call it a PIP, a pre-incident plan. I'm going to write that down. Take a note. It's going on the dry erase board right in front of my desk. Thanks for making me move, because if not, it'd be on my kitchen table.
I wish I'd come up with it, but they're like, hey, go get the PIPs. I'm like, what the hell's that? And I'm like, when I was a new kid, I'm like, what the hell is that? And they're like, a pre-incident plan. Oh, okay. And I just wander over, like, where are they? I don't know what they are. And they're huge files that we keep in the engines, along with a hypernet.
That's hysterical.
Dude, that is awesome.
How have I gone, Ryan? How have I gone this far doing what I'm doing? And I've never heard that, even from people I know in Michigan. I had to make some phone calls after this and be like, what you never told me this one.
How many guys do you actually know in Lansing? Because Lansing kind of does things their own way. I want you to, there's the right way to do things, there's the wrong way to do things, and there's the Lansing way of doing things.
Boy, if I heard that about 1 million times, except for insert Charles.
Yep.
It goes right along with being in the Marine Corps. There's the right way, the wrong way, and the Marine Corps way.
All right, Pip. Get out in your district and do your PIP. Give me some takeaways of how you would prepare. And just so this is probably going to end up on Jump Seat Radio, just because I'm the boss. Why?
I get to be famous.
Yeah, infamous, more like it. But how could that young jump seat rider, who I think is the core listener to my podcast, get to the point where they're coming into something? Because I'm telling you, I don't know how long you guys have been in, but going into somebody's house and assimilating in that house can be scary.
I mean, listen, Ryan, I'm sitting on that next promotion list and eventually it could happen. And again, I have a small apartment, but I'm going to have to switch. I may have to switch houses, may have to switch shifts. Who knows what's going to happen? Right. This stuff happens to us all. It goes back to what you and I have been talking about since we started doing these types of things together. And it's that positive mental attitude. You know, you have to go into it as the leader. You have to go into it as the new guy, as everybody, as, hey, this is something that's going to be different. And I'm going to be prepared for it. You know, it's one of those life's curveballs. When we look at this year, specifically this year, for sure, if you weren't ready for those changes to pop up, or when they did, you didn't try to adapt and overcome and become better from them, it's not going to happen. So you need that attitude, even when it's the worst. And trust me, March, more April, but April and May in New Jersey, it was really, really bad. It's the easy way I can put it. I keep saying it. I can't explain it to anyone, but you needed to stay as positive as possible or you weren't going to make it, for lack of a better term there.
I couldn't agree with you more, Pip. In all honesty, you kind of gotta bloom where you're planted. You know.
Ooh, it's Patrick, right?
Yeah,
man, he's got his man's full of one-liners today. Get the Twitter out and drop them bombs of knowledge on there.
You're gonna find out. You hang out enough with me that I've got what everybody likes to call Sawyerisms. Sawyerisms. That's my last name, Sawyer. So Sawyerisms, and they're everywhere. I mean, like I'm sure you've heard this one. If you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes, right?
Yeah, I like the bloom where you see you bloom where you're planted.
Yeah, you bloom where you're planted. I mean, wherever you're going, that's where you're at.
Look, he's right.
That's your home. What's that?
It's so funny though, because it's like we've got 8 houses, and the one that you start in usually is the one you end up finishing in. So, I mean, I went back to my old house, what was it? Yes, Sunday. And it was just like, okay, I haven't been here in like 4 years, but it still feels like home. I'm going to turn my camera back off just because of my bandwidth.
Well, we run 6 houses in Lansing. And when you're a new kid, when you're brand new, you're going to spend almost zero time at your house because they're going to rove you out once you're off of your field training instruction period. You're going to rove out just about everywhere, whether it be on the engine or the sled. It doesn't actually matter. You're probably not going to end up on a truck anytime soon. But I mean, you're going to get plenty of ambulance time. Just about every other shift, you're basically putting in 24 on an ambulance.
And I'm going to give my keys to success that goes with that. And we do the same thing. We call them swingers. I don't know if that's the most politically correct way of calling them or not. FDNY calls them bouncers. So, man, if you're that new person, whether you're the new officer going in, I guess you have to start slow but work hard. You can write that down. That's a Ryan quote. I'll turn my camera back on, tip my coffee cup at you. But, you got to start slow in the simulation. It's like they say that when I went to my new house, Pip, that I went in balls to the wall, wide eye open. They have no idea that I went in slow. So it's yeah, we haven't hit the wide IE open yet. So just stand by for news. But I mean, I just think there's a lot of wisdom to that. Jason Hovelman taught me that one, Pip, when we were out in Missouri. He's like, Ryan, you got to go in easy. Because then you can put the hammer down later. But just don't forget just to do the work, I guess.
That's the key, is that you're there to do a job, you know, and,
right.
And not everybody's going to like the job that you're there to do, but you still have to do it. And how you do it and how you go about it. I mean, listen, I've seen, the balls to the wall approach, and I've seen that fail definitely. And I've seen the I'm not going to do anything approach, and I've seen that fail. Right. You know, you need to come in the middle somewhere. You need that balance, you know, and not everybody, it's just like what we say, not everybody's always going to like you. You know, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. But there's times where I have to change. There's times where you have to change. And I think that's a big thing. And that's one of those things I was talking before Patrick joined us about that Ted Lasso show. Like Ted Lasso had to adapt some things in his life to change for what he was doing, but it's how we have to be. And if this year didn't prove to you that you have to take a hard look at yourself and think about some things that you're doing, nothing will, man. Nothing
Well, and I'm going to agree with you all except for one area of our life, and that's on the fire ground. The standard is the standard, period. So, I mean, I really think we have to be adaptive to a certain point. And heck, maybe there is some adaptation. Ooh, big word of the day. Put that on my toilet paper this morning, by the way. Maybe there is some adaptation on the fire ground as far as hose loads, layouts, throwing ladders. But when it comes down to once the bell goes off and stuff's on fire, there's no compromise there. The standard is the standard.
You have to do your job. That's what you have to do with your job. I think what I think you mentioned it there. Listen, the hose load that works in Lansing is not the hose load that works in where you are, Ryan, and it's another town.
You don't even know my town as much as
another town in the South, but I can't think of what the heck it is now. Charleston.
You're dead.
Charleston. I get them confused.
You're dead to me now. You're dead to me.
In West Virginia, as opposed to me in New Brunswick. But these things, but you're doing the job the same as they're doing the job in Michigan, the same as I'm doing the job in New Jersey. We're doing it. That's where the failure stops. When people don't do it. Same with EMS. When you don't treat the patient, you're not doing your job. I don't care if they're not the most sickest person in the world. You're there. Treat them. Right?
Yeah. Ultimately, you nobody forced you to raise your hand. Nobody asked you to volunteer for this job. You asked for the job. You tested for the job. You demanded that you be put in the ranks. Now it's up to you to turn and burn. Basically, you've got 25 years in that. Just do your doggone job. And trust me, I'm still fighting the fight about getting good tools on. But at the end of the day, if I have a tool and I'm proficient in that tool, and I am, and I will be if I don't know it, then a stretch is a stretch, a nozzle is a nozzle, and fire burns hot, and you need to go in there and create space and get in there and I don't care if there's 6 inches of dog crap and barbed wire on the ground and it's just a crackhead. Well, that crackhead's a citizen in my city, and I sort of saved his life at the risk of mine. I wrote that blank check. I'm willing to have somebody cash it.
Man, speaking of cashing it, man, the other night, Pip, I had that old crap moment. So it's like I took the promotion and got ready to be engine captain, and we turned the corner the other day, and someone had caught a 20-pound propane cylinder on fire. Right? No big deal. Well, it was a big deal until it went rolling down the hill 20 feet from the $600,000 house exposure. So now we've got a venting 20-pound propane cylinder 20 feet from a $600,000 house, which in West Virginia, $600,000 might as well be MTV Cribs. So it's like, okay, well, this is new. It's like,
that's not too far off the mark in Michigan.
Yeah. So what do we do now? Well, I mean, that's one of my
your job, man. Do your job.
And I'll tell you, I had to eat a big old slice of humble pie, which is not hard for me because trust me when I say that I don't know it all. But I had to turn to my wagon driver and my jump seat guys and say, all right, guys, let's make a plan here because Ryan's a little bit tapped out on this. I know we need to add water, but from where and how much?
Add water.
Dude, but what? So here, ready? So, what did I say before? I've been a lieutenant now for 6 years, and I hit everything just right. I took the first lieutenant's test with like 4.5 years on the job. So I started acting with like 5.5 years on the job. My first day acting, it's me and the 2 most senior guys on my shift.
Nice.
Because I went to their house to act. And I sat there, and I've worked with these guys for 5 years. I knew them before getting hired type thing. And I looked and I said, gentlemen, today I'm going to impose something called acting by committee. And I'm like, I am relying on the 2 of you to help me with every single decision we make today as a team. And I think I did acting. I do lieutenanting by committee sometimes. There's nothing wrong with that. Just because you're the dude with the horn, it doesn't mean you have all the answers. So I look to my guys for a lot of things. And I think that's where you get that leader that gets into trouble when they don't, lead from the rear from your jump seat.
I was going to say that really helps to have a true dyed-in-the-wool senior guy on riding dirty for you. And Lansing, and for our part, is a very, very young department. We've probably replaced, I would say, better than 25% of our manpower in the last 3 to 5 years.
I think that's going to be a common theme throughout the whole country now.
Totally common theme.
Yeah.
Totally common theme.
Well, we can't even we're having a hard time just getting applicants now. When I first started testing, there was probably 4,000 applicants for 6 jobs. And now we'll come up with 10 or 12 jobs and there's 80 applicants, 100 applicants, sometimes 400 applicants at most.
Yeah.
I remember testing for Detroit and they had the Cobo Center for 3 days and it was wall to wall.
Yeah, I think we're definitely going to see that trend changing too. And I don't know where that's going to take us to, but it'll definitely be interesting for sure to see as it goes, And that's, again, just something we have to adapt to, like, I mean, even when it's like, oh my God, everybody's using these and they're on their phones and they're this. Well, you know what? There's a lot of information we get off our phones these days. So maybe it wasn't so wrong. We just have to figure out how it's going to work good for us, like the whole MSDS. It's right there. There's an app. I can look it all up and I get the to-date information.
Man, I was mad because I typed in propane emergencies and it didn't come up in that 30 seconds. I had to make a decision. I mean, what the freak? Where's the Google glasses where you can just like pop it up and pull up a video like how to fight a propane fire with 2 exposures and no water supply? Oh, there it is.
Call a greater alarm. You'll never get wrong on a test. Call a greater alarm.
Well,
you can always send them home, but if they're not already on the way, then and you need them, it's already too late.
It's so funny that you said that, Pip, because my first thing I said is like, an engine company, I'm going to need another one of those, and can you send the battalion chief my way? It's like.
I just had a conversation with a young actor the other day about things. And I'm like, look, man, you can always call me. If you have a problem somewhere, call me. I'm like, if you don't want to bother the chief or you don't think it's a chief problem, call me. And I may be able to help you, but guess what? Chances are good. Guess who I'm going to call?
Yeah.
The chief. Because it's a chief problem. There's always someone. You're the chief. And then you better call another chief.
Yeah. To my credit, he showed up and never took command. So I went and asked him a question. You know what he told me? Says, don't talk to me. I'm not in command. I'm going back to my office. Y'all have a nice evening. I was like,
so you're doing it right then.
Well, I don't know if that's good or bad. It's like, okay, I'm going to take that as good. Hey, what's up, Ian? What's up, Mark? We're just shooting the breeze here, talking about anything and everything. When you get Pip on here, who knows what you're going to talk to?
Oh, really? We're talking about manpower and recruits.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got 24 started today.
24.
24 started today. Yeah, and then we got another class coming behind them. 15 weeks they'll hire another one. Just like you said, it's like we're losing 30% of our department over a 2.5 year period.
My class had 28 in it, and the next class had a grand total of 2.
Oh wow, sucks for them.
Sucks for the 2.
Well, my class was split into 3 based on qualifications, so everybody's got a different. Like senior.
Jumptown.
Hey, come on.
Ian's out of here. Come on, man.
It's exciting.
All right, 1075 the box K. We're going all hands.
Hey, Amy, that's CMS. They're going somewhere.
Screw them Band-Aid boys. Forget them. Get out there and pay our salary, boys.
Shocking.
Huh?
Ian.
Yo.
Since Oath Keepers. How you been, old buddy?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Hey, did you guys get to go to Oath Keepers? Come on now, you lucky dogs.
Hey, you know what? I didn't get to go this year because I'm going to Nozzle Forward. And it's because of Ian that I'm going to Nozzle Forward this year.
Hey, just for you, for the people not watching, these are for you because I didn't get a chance to go this year. Yeah. So I was planning on hitting the Columbus class, and I am so mad that I'm not able to go.
Dude, Oath Keepers is beyond comparison when it comes to like fraternity, just aggression. It's legit. You missed out, and I am not. I'm not in the least bit sad about
it. Ian, what was your biggest takeaway from Oath Keepers this year?
This year, Man, the only thing that I can say is I have never been to another conference where I got more reps when it came down to doing things. And, the only way to get really proficient in this job is to just do it over and over and over again until you can't get it wrong. Practice perfect until you become perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect, whatever it is that I'm trying to say. Yeah.
So Pip, you don't know, Oath Keepers is a 2-day conference. They do truck one day, engine one day, and then you flip. And it's out in the
know what it is. I've looked into going. I'm not I don't live under a rock.
You should look into it. You looked into it. See, that's your problem is you looked into it and you didn't jump feet first.
Well, now keep in mind, he lives like 16 million hours away from Cincinnati.
I love excuses. They're like assholes. Everybody's got one.
Man, Patrick's going hard, boy. Man,
I'm telling you, go to Oath Keepers. Do not hesitate. And I'll tell you what, at Oath Keepers, we had some. I went 2 years ago. I wasn't able to go this year because I'm going to Nozzle Forward, like I said. But we had the same West Virginia boys the same West Virginia boys that were there 2 years ago were there this year, and they are I think they're part timers or they might be on combination departments. They are wild men. Wild men.
So are we talking about Corey? Or are we talking about Richie? Or are we talking about Garrett?
The one that sticks in my mind is the one with a bushy mustache. Garrett? I don't remember which one.
There you go. Ryan's probably related to him.
The big old boy?
No, he's about, he's average size, my size, but I'll tell you what, they're wild men. They are impressive to watch.
So 3 of the 4 are all on my department.
Oh, yeah? I remember them grabbing hold of that old, is it a Seagrave or American LaFrance that the Northern Ohio Fools had? And it was nothing but John Denver all the time. It was some good reps, though. Yeah, it's like Ian said, practice don't make perfect. Practice makes perfect.
So Corey was the tall guy teaching the truck class, tall blonde-haired kid. He just passed his paramedic yesterday. So that was a huge, awesome. Yep. You know who I'm talking about, Ian?
Yeah. Does he have a brother that's on the job too?
He does. He's on the job in a different department, but yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was his brother that wound up beer bonging a bush light in about 5 seconds out of the nozzle that I outbid Kyle Romney for.
Well, you guys.
Did you beat Kyle for that one? Did you beat Kyle for a nozzle?
I did.
That's unusual. He will throw money at a nozzle.
Yeah, I threw money at it too.
You need to ask those guys one day when you can come down and go whitewater rafting with us. That's what West Virginia is known for. Right now is Gauley season. Every hippie with the hairy armpits within 6 hours are here in our state right here because it's Gauley season. Oh, yeah.
See, I've been through West Virginia a couple of times. I drove through the mountains, and I drove through the mountains in a torrential monsoon. Thank you. No, that was terrifying. I'm happy to go up on roofs or run into burning buildings and crawl through high heat and no visibility. I'm totally cool with that. But driving through West Virginia in a monsoon, not my idea of a good time.
Well, as long as you're not a New Jersey driver, you're fine because New Jersey only owes one speed, and that is wide, i.e. open. I don't know why NASCAR drivers don't come from New Jersey.
That is no joke. I've been to New Jersey myself. And you know why they call it the Garden State, right?
I don't know.
Because they can't fit oil and petrochemical refinery state on the license plate. I pulled that from a movie. Come on now.
All right. So we've been talking for about 52 minutes now. We'll edit all this back and forth. Ian, what we've been talking about is getting new guys coming into our crew, how we're getting them ready. It's so funny that you brought up Oath Keepers because I think using their mentality is basically what it is. It's like, hey, sets, reps, repetitiously doing something over and over and again. We were just talking to my good buddy Sean Egan. He's doing this live thing with Inner Schultz and Bobby Eckert this weekend. He's like, Ryan, I'm really worried. I'm like, why are you worried? He's like, we're going to be mic'd up going into burning buildings. Like, don't worry, we won't listen to you breathing heavy as long as you're just barking out orders really well. But
they are doing a dry run. They're doing a dry run on Friday to get the kinks out.
Are you going to go down with them?
Burn up any cameras.
Oh yeah, right.
I can't. Unfortunately, I can't. I would like to go down with them, but I can't. I'm a little sad.
So, Ian, give me some takeaways from being a student that got your, dare I say, your hind end handed to you during Oath Keepers. What was your? I mean, I would assume you did all 3 roles: backup, hose humper, and then the nozzle or the truck vent, whatever. Give me some takeaways which you could give a new person coming in to these situations.
So at Oath Keepers this year, I made a pact to myself because I'm prepping to go to a class here in a couple weeks. It's supposed to be really high intensity, about 2 days of nonstop training, 48 hours. And I wore an air pack through the entirety of Oath Keepers. I mean, that's even bathroom breaks, that's lunch break and everything, maintaining constant state in turnout gear. So I can definitely say that it was a lot more fatiguing this year than it was last year, just because of the intensity that I chose to put on myself on top of it. What I can say is, coming into any of the new guys, with me being one of our academy instructors in our engine company thing, or our engine company cadre, what it comes down to is we have to simplify the operation as much as possible. So talking with some people who are a lot smarter than I am when it comes to adult education and adult learning, the more that we can simplify things into developing your neural pathways. For you, Ryan, you're a paramedic, correct?
Yep. 21 years.
Think about your ACLS algorithm. You see this, you do that. You see this, you do that. Well,
right.
My organization that we have is we have multiple different hose loads for different operations. What I took away from Oath Keepers is, and some of the people that I've been talking to here recently, is we need to try and streamline into creating the most simplistic operation that we can. So whether that be using a flat load, using a triple load, which I will sit here and say that using the word triple load for me is a cardinal fucking sin.
I'm not gonna lie, Ian. You kind of made my stomach turn.
Yeah. So, trust me, triple load. I hate it. I would light it on fire, and I wish that it never existed. But that's neither here nor there. If we decide on a load, if we can find ways to adapt them to our other loads, so that way all I have to do is teach a recruit, we pull this hose this way, and then I can adapt it to our standpipe operations. I can adapt it to our cross lays. I can adapt it to our front bumper loads. I can adapt it to our long stretches, what we call our extended stretch. By reducing the different numbers of hose loads that we have, I can simplify their neural pathways, so that way when they come across this operation, they know to do this, they know to do that. Because when you wind up on the fire ground, obviously, you guys know as well as I do, I don't know how your first fire went, but as I'm rolling up on scene, I'm literally screaming, "Oh shit," in the back of the engine. I have the lieutenant throw his fucking helmet at me. People are screaming because I have so much adrenaline flowing through my system. I'm scared out of my mind that I have to do all these different things. The more I can simplify it, the more I can bring it down to the easiest level. That way, when people get scared, that they know just, all right, start doing this. They can calm down, they can take a deep breath, and it's less that they have to try and think of at a deep level, and more that they can just do out of program muscle memory.
Ooh, man. Ian, I got to turn my camera back on. What you saying there, Patrick?
So basically, the Minuteman, you can pull it it 5 different ways. I mean,
I agree.
You can drop it for a short. You can flake it off. You can split it. You can do an angry biking. You can even run it as a large diameter, or you can use it for your deuce for an attack line, and you can even run the whole thing as an accordion forward for high rise. It's if you're talking simplicity and efficiency, it's probably the single most efficient lay outside of the booger shooter cross, the doggone flat load. I mean, outside of the standard simplicity, you're looking at the Minuteman, and that gives you multiple options. Or you can take and break it too. Same thing with a standard flat lay.
Man, all these engine nerds, man. What's up with all these engine?
Man, it's engine nerd stuff. But listen, hey, you know what the biggest takeaway from what I mean, Ian there said a lot, and it was great. And I'm all behind it, right? But the biggest thing that he said was that simplicity, right? And we used to do this thing back when we would watch Scott Ziegler in Highland Park on YouTube, and we would call it firefighting gone badly, right? Because what we took away, I mean, we were all taking away different things, reading smoke, reading fire, seeing this. But one of the biggest things that my shift, the guys that I was doing this with, took away? I don't care how you pack your hose, triple load, Scorpion, Stinger, Minuteman, whatever the hell works in your world, let it work. But when you pull up to that fire and your adrenaline's pumping and you pull the hose off and it all drops in front of the engine, that's a fail. So let's go back to simple. We can't do that. And go look on YouTube, right? And look at people pulling up. And you can watch 20 videos and 17 of them, whatever comes off turns into spaghetti because they didn't deploy it to where they needed it to go first.
Well, a lot
and
of
I'm like, let's go simple. Let's do this.
Well, a lot of that has to do with composure as well. It is easy to get worked up and then go just straight tunnel vision on whatever you're doing. And all you want to do is get some hose on your shoulder and get the nozzle in your hands, and you'll forget to turn around and it just dumps everywhere. Or take me, for example. We pulled up on a single story concrete block construction, little 1-bedroom home. And fire is just, we come in and we didn't even think we were going to be first due. Fire's blowing out the window. I was told I was on the iron. So, because where I'm from, the engine pops the door too. So I go around, pop the door, come back around, and I flake out some hose for the stretch. Don't pay any attention. Go back around. Next thing I know, the engineer is sitting there with daggers in his eyes at me, just stripping off hose and calling me everything under the book because, I mean, I got tunnel vision. I screwed that stretch up. Ever since then, you screw up enough times. Eventually, you're going to get good enough where you don't screw up when you really need it. And that's why I would think nozzle forward or oath keepers getting the reps in is essential to our success, because that is the best place to screw these things up is training. And being willing to screw it up in front of your peers is probably the biggest downfall that I'm seeing in my department right now. They just don't want to see that. They just don't want people to see them screw it up. Yeah, so they don't do it at all.
They make fun of me no matter what, so I don't really care.
Well, look at you.
Yeah, I know, right? What's not to make fun of it? All right, fellas, we've been on here for about an hour. Ian, Patrick, thank you guys for jumping on. Ian, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I was just going to basically, go back to what you were just saying. The guys make fun of you. I was talking with Rick George a couple of days ago. He's the guy who wrote the book on firefighter resiliency training. And he told me, you can't be a prophet in your own land. Mm-hmm. So keep doing what you're doing. People are always going to talk shit. One thing that I was told when I was younger is 30 miles in a suitcase makes an expert. So,
It's so funny that you say that. We went third due on an apartment fire, smoke in the basement, smoke on the top. They're like, we think we've got a fan motor gone bad. And of course, the first thing is a third due engine. We take the alley, and my guys ask me, are we stretching? I said, what, does a frog bump its ass when it hops? Absolutely, we're stretching. Of course, we stretched to the wrong building. So by the time we made the adjustment, we had to go over an 8-foot high fence and got our nozzle and the coupling to the basement. If we would have had to go to the third story, we were short. Of course, they were like, so you all stretched short and y'all did the wrong buildings and y'all did this. And I was like, okay, where was your hose? Oh, wait, you didn't stretch. So if there was a fire, whose hose would have been used? Oh, wait, that would have been ours. So the next time you want to run that mouth, you make the stretch, because until then we're stretching. Period.
I'll tell you, Ian, and both of you just kind of nailed it. It's just everybody's going to talk their own crap, and you can't be a prophet in your own kingdom. Now, I will say that an expert is somebody who knows more and more about less and less. And I'm just trying to. I've been on this job in one way, shape, or form for 21 years now. And I come to work and still learn something new every single day. If it's about my area, if it's about myself, that's where the biggest growth I see for professionally and personally is learning something new about myself every time the alarm goes off. Sometimes it's, I do not want to run this doggone EMS call for the umpteenth time in a row with this person again. Or if it's a full blown, hey, you're going to the 8th floor, you better be ready to fight fire. You're going to learn something about yourself, and being self-aware enough and understanding where you're going to fail, understanding your points of failure is something that your team can be built off of as well, because somebody's going to be there to back you up.
Boom. Ian, thanks for jumping on, pal.
Not a problem, man.
You take care of yourself, brother.
Hey, I'm probably going to post this as a podcast and maybe a YouTube video. You guys cool with that?
Yes, send it.
Give everybody shout out your where they can find you at, whether it's on the gram or the Twitter or Facebook. That way, give you some props.
Yeah. You can find me at Facebook at IAFFCarl357 on Instagram. IAFFCarl on Facebook.
Hold me. I couldn't help myself.
I don't get that one.
It's a movie reference. Yeah, I don't expect you to get it. It's not for old people.
Oh, hey, easy. Easy. You know that when my guys give me a hard time at work with that, don't they? Don't you? You know what I tell them?
No.
Man, Ryan, you're old. You know what my response is? And what was your mom's name and where was she from?
Oh, that would be Debbie in Michigan. That explains the nose. No wonder
some of them get mad when I say that. They're like, "Did you know my mom?"
Did you know my mom? Yes. If you did, that would explain. So like mutated here.
All right, Ian. Thanks for coming on. Patrick, give me a shout out where you're from.
Hell, you can find me on Facebook. I'm at Patrick Sawyer.
All right. Thank you guys for jumping on. All right, Pip. All right, Pip.
Back at it.
Give me some where they're going to find you at coming up. You're working on some more big things.
Working on some podcasts, so the Size Up by National Fire Radio is coming up. I'm recording again tonight. Totally different type of episode than we've had in the past. So just trying to switch things up. 555 Fitness. I don't know when you're putting this out, but this Friday we're going live. You can join us for a workout on YouTube at, I think this week we're switching the time up to 09:30 Friday morning. So you can join us for that workout. That'll be on the 555 Fitness social media pages shortly. Anybody can join in. And I believe even you can 40-second workout plan. My birthday Friday, so they've insisted we do a workout for that. And travel, well, obviously there's no travel, so
no travel.
That's where I'll be. And you can follow me at 555pip on Instagram. Is the easiest place to keep up with what I have to go on here. And check out this weekend. Ryan dropped that National Fire Radio live fire training with Bobby Eckert and Sean Egan and a whole bunch of people this Saturday for Inner Schultz USA on the National Fire Radio YouTube page. I think. I'm pretty sure that's how it's working. We're trying to figure it out now. So,
speaking of National Fire Radio, did you see the fire our boy had the other day? My main man Jeremy going butt deep in a 3-alarm middle of the road townhouse fire. Woo!
Oh yeah. They've seen some work up there. His department. They had a basement job the other day.
Shout out to Franklin Lakes. They had a modern construction, new construction, middle of the road townhouse fire where I talked to Jeremy, and I don't want to spoil it, but he said a bunch of spider monkeys got up there and opened it up and kept it held to the original building of origin on a brand new construction. So not like what you and I are used to working in, but I was like, man, that's legit. Shout out to Franklin Hyatt for
Yeah, that smoke. If you go, I mean, it's hard to keep up with National Fire Radio because they post a lot, but that smoke looked nasty there when you're watching it. That smoke had some anger to it is a good way to put it. So
whoever's using that Baker aerial scope on Franklin's Lakes that day, man, tip of the old cap to you, because man, that's the way the Baker is supposed to be used. All right. Thanks, fellas, for jumping on the last minute. I appreciate all of you guys. I better get off here and actually look like I'm doing something here because my wife's the kitchen is clean. I don't know if you can see it or not. The kitchen is clean. So now it's off to the garage.
Ryan, you take care. Okay,
enjoy, my brother.
Thanks, Ian.
Hey, take care.
Hey, we get you guys up on the podcast again, both of you guys.
Hey, I'd love to.
Let me know.
All right, man. Thanks, guys. You've been listening to Jump Seat Radio Zoom session where we get her done. See you guys. Hey, what's up, another Michigan guy? What's up?